Part 2. The warm breezes of approaching summer had sent everyone, including the gardener, into the house. So the months were of the summer months, and it was so hot that everybody was inside their houses, including the gardener. I was feeling drowsy myself, wondering if I should go to the pond and have a swim with Ramu and the buffaloes, when I saw a huge black cobra gliding out of a clump of cactus. So then this fellow, he thinks that he himself was feeling very drowsy, and he thinks that he should go to the pond. He was just, trying to understand, try to come to a decision that he should go to the pond to swim with his friend Ramu. And by the time he was, he's just thinking, suddenly he saw a huge black cobra which glided out of a clump of cactus trees. At the same time, a mongoose emerged from the bushes and went straight for the cobra. And at the moment when he saw the big cobra coming out of the clump of the cactus, he saw that there was a mongoose which emerged from the bushes and went straight to the cobra. Emerged means came out. We all know this is a common word. Emerged from the bushes, came out of the bushes. In a clearing beneath the banyan tree in bright sunshine, they came face to face. Now it was, the ground was empty. The place beneath the banyan tree, it was all vacant. It was clear sunshine, as in it was complete afternoon. The sunshine was so clear, and the mongoose and the cobra, they were face to face. Probably, it looked like as if they'll be fighting any moment. The cobra knew only too well that the grey mongoose, 3 feet long, was a superb fighter, clever and aggressive. Probably the cobra, the snake, it knew that this mongoose, who's this long, how long? 3 feet long. He was grey in color. He knew that this creature is extremely clever and is a very, very good fighter. And he is aggressive at the same time. Clearing means an open space in a forest where there are no trees. So in a clearing beneath the banyan tree, as I just explained, the place near beneath the banyan tree, it was all clear and vacant. There were no bushes or trees there, and both the mongoose and the cobra, they were face to face, and one could see them clearly. All right. But the cobra too was a skillful and experienced fighter. Cobra himself knew that he was an experienced and a skillful fighter, but at the same time he knew that mongoose is very clever and a very aggressive fighter. He could move swiftly and strike with the speed of light, and the sacs behind the long sharp fangs were full of deadly poison. It was to be a battle of champions. So now cobra, he had the ability to move very swiftly and strike with the speed of a light, as in it would just move around very swiftly and strike in a second. You would not know that how swiftly the snake had strike. So it had that kind of capability. Snake is said to be like that. And the snake also knew that the sac is a part of an animal or a plant shaped like a bag. So the sac, which was behind the long sharp fangs, so the sac here where the neck of the snake is, so it was completely full of the dangerous venom, you can say, the deadliest poison ever, and it was full of that. And it knew that the moment the snake will strike at the mongoose will die. But at the same time, it knew that mongoose is a very clever and aggressive fighter. So it was supposed to be a battle between the champions. Even the snake was very clever, and even the mongoose was very clever. So it looked like it will be a neck to neck fight, or a very tight fight. Hissing defiance, his forked tongue darting in and out, the cobra raised 3 of his 6 feet off the ground and spread his broad spectacled hood. Hissing defiance means resistance. So we all know snake hisses, right? The kind of noise which snake makes, we know it's called hiss. So hissing defiance, as in it was hissing into resistance, because he was in a defensive mode, not the offensive mode. So he was hissing resistance. His forked tongue, we all know cobra has this kind of tongue, forked tongue, right? So his forked tongue darting in and out, move quickly, suddenly. Darting means coming out, in, out, in, out, in. It was like that. So the tongue, the forked shaped tongue, it kept on coming out and in. He was hissing in resistance, and he raised his 3 of his 6 feet, as in it stood tall. 6 feet. He it got upright on the ground, and spread his broad spectacled hood, and spread its hood, as in the hood means the face or the head, you can say, of the cobra. So it came like this. So it spread its hood. The mongoose bushed his tail. Bushed his tail means just to move his tail, you can say, or move in offensive attitude, you can say. So the mongoose bushed his tail. The long hair on his spine stood up. The long hair, I'll just show you in the picture. Here you can say these hair, so they all stood up. Why do the hair stand up? They stand up either when they when the animal is very active, or in a scary mode, or in a fighting position. That is the time when the hair of the animal stands up. So the hair of the mongoose, it stood up, and he became really alert. Okay. Though the combatants were unaware of my presence in the tree, they were soon made aware of the arrival of 2 other spectators. Combatants means participants in a fight. The author is telling, though both of them, the mongoose and the cobra, they did not know that I am hiding in the tree, I am there present seeing their fight, but they gradually got to know about 2 more spectators. Spectators means people who watch a show or a game. So people who are watching, or anybody who's watching, that person or that whatever is called a spectator. So cobra and mongoose got to know that there are 2 more spectators to their fight. One was a myna. Myna is a bird, we all know. The other a jungle crow. So there were 2 more spectators to the fight, a myna and a jungle crow, except for the author who was hiding inside the tree. They had seen these preparations for battle and had settled on the cactus to watch the outcome. The myna and the crow, they had seen the preparation of the battle. What was the preparation? That cobra, he stood up his hood, the spectacled hood, and he stood upright 6 feet tall on the ground, and the mongoose, his hair stood up and he started bushing his tail. So the myna and the crow, they were watching all this preparation. So they they positioned themselves on a cactus tree and were waiting for a fight to see the outcome. Had they been content only to watch, all would have been well with both of them. Had they been content only to watch, if they just wanted to watch, all would have been well with both of them. They would have been fine. Both of them would have been alright. The cobra stood on the defensive, swaying slowly from side to side, trying to mesmerize the mongoose into making a false move. Mesmerize means magically persuade. False move means an unwise action. So now the cobra was in a defensive mode. The cobra did not want to attack first. So it it came in a defensive mode and swaying slowly from side to side, as in going here, there, trying to mesmerize the mongoose, as in mislead the mongoose, so that mongoose could not know what move the cobra is going to make. So it just wanted to mislead the mongoose, swaying from here and there, right? But the mongoose knew the power of his opponent's glassy, unwinking eyes and refused to meet them. But mongoose was clever. It knew that the cobra is just trying to mislead him about the false moves it is going to make. But then it knew from the opponent's glassy, unwinking eyes. That means the mongoose knew from the eyes of the cobra that he's going to make he's trying to mislead him. So mongoose, he decided that he'll not see into cobra's eyes. Instead, he fixed his gaze at a point just below the cobra's hood and opened the attack. So mongoose was the first one to attack the cobra. Instead of looking directly into its eyes, mongoose fixed his gaze. Gaze means his vision, his sight. So mongoose directly fixed his gaze where? On the hood, on just below the hood of the cobra. So if this is the hood, the gaze fixed here. So just below the cobra's hood, mongoose fixed his eye and opened the attack. Mongoose attacked the cobra. Moving forward quickly until he was just within the cobra's reach, the mongoose made a pretended move to one side. Immediately the cobra struck. Now mongoose, because he was very clever and he was very swift, he was very witty, he again misled the snake. The mongoose pretended to move at a side, and immediately the snake struck at him and mongoose dodged. His great hood came down so swiftly that I thought nothing could save the mongoose. When the mongoose tried to mislead the cobra, the hood of the snake, it came so swiftly on mongoose and with such force, it looked like mongoose will not survive. But the little fellow jumped neatly to one side and darted in as swiftly as the cobra, biting the snake on the back and darting away again out of the reach. But the mongoose, it was so swift. Immediately, the moment cobra struck on the mongoose, it darted away. It just dodged the cobra and jumped from that particular position to another position, and from that position it bit the snake on the hood, on the neck of the cobra, and it bit him and immediately darted to another position so that the cobra cannot attack him again. So by this we are understanding that mongoose is so clever and he's so swift. His reaction time is so neat and so swift that it is able to dodge the snake at the last moment. At the same moment that the cobra struck, the crow and the myna hurled themselves at him, only to collide heavily in mid-air. Now what happened? Immediately when the cobra, it struck at the mongoose, the crow and myna, they hurled themselves at him. They both, the myna and the crow, they also, they moved towards the snake, because probably they also wanted to hurt him, bite him, so that he just, finishes. But then the crow and the myna, instead of reaching at the snake, they both collided as in crashed, bumped into each other in the mid-air. Shrieking insults at each other, they returned to the cactus plant. Now, do you think then birds can actually cause insult to each other? Well, the author is explaining in such a way his feelings that probably the myna and the crow felt like that. They both were making their own noises. The crow was doing this, whatever the noise he makes, the myna was doing that noise, and they were, because they had collided, they were making that kind of noise as if, insulting each other, and they went back to the cactus plant. A few drops of blood glistened on the cobra's back. Glisten means shone. So by that attack of mongoose, when he bit the cobra's neck, so there was some kind of some drops of blood which were visible, and they shone as if it was visible that the cobra is hurt and injured. The cobra struck and missed. Again the mongoose sprang aside, jumped in and bit. So this kind of thing, dodging, kept on happening. The snake struck the mongoose dodged and bit him on the neck. Again and again this similar kind of pattern kept on repeating. Again the birds dived at the snake, bumped into each other instead, and returned shrieking to the safety of the cactus. And again the same thing happened with the birds. Myna and the crow, they hurled at the snake to bite him, but they collided in the mid-air. They crashed into each other in the mid-air, and they started making their own noises and went back to safety on the cactus plants. They could not come to the cobra. The moment they both wanted to come to the cobra, they used to collide. Isn't it funny? It is. Alright. The third round followed the same course as the first, but with one dramatic difference. Now 2 rounds of this dodging and fighting were over. The third round was almost taking the similar path, but there was one dramatic difference. Now let's see what is the difference. The crow and the myna, still determined to take part in the proceedings, dived at the cobra, but this time they missed each other as well as their mark. Now this time the myna and the crow in the third round, they again hurled at the cobra because they wanted to bite him and finish him off. But what was the difference this time? They did not collide with each other. Instead they went on the ground, but they missed the mark. They missed colliding with each other first thing, and they missed the mark. They missed the mark of the cobra where they were about to bite him. So they missed both the marks. The myna flew on and reached its perch, but the crow tried to pull up in the mid-air and turn back. The myna, that it missed the mark, so it went back to the original position, which was the cactus tree. But the crow, it tried to pull up in the mid-air and turn back, and then he returned back. In the second that it took the bird to do this, the cobra whipped his head back and struck with great force, his snout thudding against the crow's body. Now what happened? The crow, when he tried to attack the cobra, probably he tried to pull up the cobra in the mid-air so that it can hurt or probably kill the snake. So the moment he pulled up and he turned back, the snake got so it moved suddenly. See, whipped back means moved back suddenly, and after the cobra made an immediate sudden movement, what happened? The snout thudding against the crow's body. The snout of the cobra. What is the snout? The nose and mouth of an animal. When the crow, it tried to hit the cobra, it tried to pull him up in the mid-air and then left him. The snake, it suddenly made a movement, and his hood, the nose and face, it hit the bird. The snout thudding against the crow's body, it hit the crow's body. I saw the bird flung nearly 20 feet across the garden. So the boy, the author, he says that he saw the bird thrown forcefully. Flung means thrown forcefully. So he says that he saw the bird was thrown forcefully for almost a distance of 20 feet. It fluttered about for a while, then lay still. Fluttered means to move or make something move quickly and lightly, especially through the air. So the bird, it moved quickly but lightly for a short while, and then it lay still. Lay still means it died. The myna remained on the cactus plant, and when the snake and the mongoose returned to the fight, very wisely decided not to interfere again. The bird myna, it remained at the cactus plant, and when the mongoose and the snake they returned for the fight, myna very wisely means very intelligently, it decided not to interfere again. What is the meaning of interfere? Interfere means to get involved in a situation which does not involve you, so it decided not to interrupt again. The cobra was weakening, and the mongoose, walking fearlessly up to it, raised himself on his short legs and with a lightning snap had the big snake by the snout. Now that the cobra was weakening, it was getting weak, the mongoose, he became fearless. Fearless means without any fear. So the mongoose, it became fearless and it raised himself on his short legs and it snapped at the snake by its snout with a lightning sound, which actually means, snap means cracking sound or a sharp sound, you can say. So with a sharp sound, it raised up on his short legs and hit the snake, and it took the snake by its snout. Snout means the long nose. Now here the long nose is not there in the snake, right? So it is, you can say that it is the hood. So the mongoose, it held the snake by its hood. The cobra writhed and lashed about in a frightening manner and even coiled itself about the mongoose, but to no avail. The cobra writhed and lashed. Now what is the meaning of writhed? It means to turn and roll your body about. So the cobra, it turned and rolled its body. And lashed means to hit violently or with a great force. So very forcefully it lashed in a frightening manner and it tried to even coil. What is the meaning of coil? Coil means to make something in a round shape. We all know how does a cobra coil, right? So the cobra, it tried to coil itself around the mongoose, but to no avail. But to no avail means with no success. So with no success, it actually could not coil around the mongoose. The little fellow hung grimly on until the snake had ceased to struggle. Now grimly means hold firmly. So the little fellow means mongoose, it held firmly for a short while till the time snake ceased to struggle. Ceased means ended, stopped. So till the time snake stopped to struggle, the mongoose, he kept holding firmly. He then smelt along its quivering length, gripped it round the hood and dragged it into the bushes. He then smelt. Smelt means to put your nose near something and breathe in so that you can discover or understand the smell of that particular thing. So he smelt the snake along its quivering length. Quivering length means he's trembling, a little shake you can say, very slight movement. So he actually brought his nose closer to the snake's whole body. The whole body was trembling. So he was kind of identifying. He was trying to identify whether the snake is still alive or dead. And it gripped it around the hood. It gripped the snake around the hood and dragged it into the bushes. Drag means pulled. So and he pulled the snake into the bushes. The myna dropped cautiously to the ground, hopped about, peered into the bushes from a safe distance, and then, with a shrill cry of congratulation, flew away. The myna dropped cautiously to the ground. Myna was seeing everything. So very cautiously, in a very careful manner, it came down on the ground, hopped about. hopped a little, peered into the bushes. What does peered into the bushes means? Watching carefully. From a safe distance, it watched carefully into the bushes from a safe distance, and with a shrill cry. Shrill cry means a very shrieky voice, a very unpleasant kind of voice, you can say. With a shrill cry of congratulation, flew away. It felt as if she was congratulating, and then she flew away. So this story was written by Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond is a very, very famous author. We all know that there are many, many novels and books written by Ruskin Bond, short stories, long stories written by him. So that's about it. This is the chapter, the fight between the mongoose and the cobra, which happened under the banyan tree. The author was a spectator of the fight. It was an Indian classical fight. We all know about it. And the other two spectators were Myna and the crow. The crow died because of his extra intelligence, that he wanted to kill the snake without realizing that the snake is much more powerful than him and it can kill him. So this is about it.